Hey there, I've noticed something interesting when it comes to memory and music. And some people have a really easy time of memorizing and they just memorize everything. But I'm wondering if they memorize music really quickly. Whenever they learn a new piece, they memorize it as fast as they can because they don't read music very well or because they're not comfortable working with the music in front of them. So they memorize the notes and the positions as fast as they can so that they can actually play it and get off the page. And that's a whole different thing than somebody who works easily with the page, who is more comfortable reading the notes or having the music in front of them, and then they have a harder time actively memorizing the music, and they're not as comfortable playing from memory. So it's a really interesting two ways of doing it. But memory is a skill, and it's something that we can develop. It's something that we can work on. There are methods and techniques that we can use to play by heart, to play our pieces just at the drop of a hat, which is lovely because then if a friend comes over or if it's at the end of our practice and we just want to play something, it's a Sunday afternoon and we have done a good practice all week and we really just want to sit on the porch and play, that we've got pieces that we can actually play anytime that we would like to. So in this video, you will find 9 tips for memorizing music. This is a compilation of short form videos that we've done in the recent past. And also to help you with this, I'd like to offer you the 7-step process to learn any piece of music. And this method of learning pieces is also really great for memorizing pieces. If you just do each one and then look away, do each of the 7 steps, and then look away for a second and do it, by the end of going through the 7 steps with a piece of music, you have learned it without even trying. You've memorized it without even putting any extra effort really into memorizing per se. So it's a really great way to troubleshoot problems in the pieces as well as learning the new notes and memorizing. It's just a practice tool that will serve you for a lifetime. So if you'll find the link below, you can click it and go over and just grab that. It's a very short little ebook and it'll be a really great addition to your practice skills. So with that, let's jump in and look at some tips for memorizing music. Here is a memory tip for you if you're memorizing music. 1, expect to work for it. That's just a side tip, little bonus tip, that it's not necessarily going to be easy. But the way to do it is to force yourself to play it from memory. So ideally little sections. And let's say this right here. That's what you're wanting to memorize. Well, then throughout your practice or throughout the day, you can do this visually in your head or you can do it actually on the guitar. Actually make yourself play that. So say, okay, play it. And then practice and practice so that way you're bringing it back from your memory. And the more that you do that, the quicker it's going to be to memorize. If you just look at the music first every single time, it's going to be really difficult. And it might be difficult anyway, but it gets easier if you're forcing yourself to actually bring it out of your brain. If you're like most people, you want to play well, you want to sound good, and you want to play pieces of music. This is what we're doing it for, right? Well, here's the thing. That's all output. That's all results of the good work that we do in our practice. In your actual practice, you can't focus on those things because it won't happen. Instead, what you can do is focus on the input. What are you actually doing? And with that, you can build awareness. You can play cleanly, you can work on your technique and how you use your hands. You can do specific things that are high quality input. It's like just a drop of water, one at a time, and eventually we get all wet with it. And so focus on input, not on the results of that. The results will come as a natural consequence of high quality input. Here's a tip when you're learning new pieces of music, don't sight read it to death. What does that mean? It means starting at the very top of the piece and playing it all the way to the end over and over and over again. This is how a lot of beginners play their music, and what it does is it trains in tons of mistakes. You don't actually fix the things that are going wrong, and you think that by playing it a whole bunch of times that those things will eventually just settle out and that it will all come together, and it never happens that way. Instead, what happens is you just really train in your mistakes and they become very difficult to fix later if you ever even do. So instead, working on small sections is a much better way to practice than just sight reading through it over and over. Here's a reminder for your guitar practice. What you build today isn't necessarily going to be there tomorrow. Just because you work something out Just because you practiced it today doesn't mean it will still be perfect tomorrow. Sorry to say it, but that's the truth. Whenever you're memorizing something or whenever you're just learning any sort of new skill, it's much more effective to have many little touches on it than one big block of time focused on it. The brain really likes starts and stops, so the more that we can give them, the better. So if you're learning a particular piece of music, then whatever it happens to be, touch on it multiple times throughout the day. It can be mentally, it can be actually with the guitar, you can actually play air guitar, anything that you need to do. And even in the same practice, you can play something for a couple of minutes, do something else, come back, do something else, come back, so that you're getting multiple touches on the new material. You just learn it much faster that way. There is a concept in practice called interleaved practice. I've read about this in the book Making It Stick. Wonderful book. So what this is, you can just imagine this visual display here of my fingers. Instead of practicing things in big chunks like this, 4 things, instead break it into smaller chunks and interleave them. So in other words, if you've got scales and you've got right hand patterns and you've got a piece of music, then what you can do then is practice each of those for just a couple of minutes, and then go to the next, and then come back, and then go to the next, and then come back. What's gonna happen is that you'll always leave before you really feel like you've gotten it. Because if you just spend a big chunk of time, then you'll get it, right? On the 10th time, you'll get it. However, if you leave after the 8th time you practice something, then you'll always feel like you're failing at it, but you'll actually be learning faster because your mind will be churning on it saying, I want to learn this, I want to learn this. And you will actually ingrain it into your brain faster. So interleaved practice, so useful. Many things, here and back, here and back, here and back. One of the ways we can get disillusioned with playing the guitar is when we think that things are taking too long, where in fact, most things take longer than we think that they should. This is true with home projects, it's true with just about everything. And it's also true on the guitar. So that if you think that you're going to learn a particular piece of music and you should be able to learn it in a week, and it's not taking a week, it's been 3 weeks and you still don't have this thing mastered, you think that you're far behind, but really you're not far behind. It's just taking longer than you thought it would, which is actually par for the course. So it's one of the things our members in the program oftentimes come to me and say, I should be done with this level by now, but really they shouldn't. It's just taking as long as it takes. And it's probably taking other people just as long or longer as well. So you don't get behind. It's just that the scope of the project is a little bit off. So if you do feel like you're behind or things are taking too long, know that it's probably not. It's probably just as it should be. Here is a crafty tip for you. When you're learning new pieces of music, go in with the intention to memorize. So you don't actually have to memorize it. If you don't want to memorize it, that's fine. But pretend like you're going to memorize it. Tell yourself that you're going to get tested on it later, that the world is going to blow up if you don't remember those first 7 notes of that piece, whatever it happens to be. So what does this do? It tells your brain to perk up and look for connections, to really learn that material faster. Same thing if you're going to teach it later. I'm going to have to show this to somebody later, then you're going to learn it faster. So even if you don't really care to memorize it, if you don't really want to memorize it, that's perfectly fine. I'm a big fan of memorization, but just pretending like you're going to memorize it, you'll learn it faster. If you've been playing for a long time, chances are you have forgotten some of the songs that you really enjoyed playing in the past. And so this is really common. One of the ways that you can prevent losing those tunes is just to keep them on a list. Keep a song list. You can just throw it in your guitar case whenever you learn a new song, add it to the list, and then occasionally go through the list and play some things in your back catalog and keep them alive. So that way you don't go 6 months or a year without playing that tune. Instead, you can touch back in on it. So keep a song list and it'll be like an archive of all the pieces that you learned. All right, so there are some tips for memorizing music. I hope you have enjoyed these. If you would like to, you can download the 7 steps to learn any piece of music quickly and easily. You'll find the link down below for that. And when you do, then your practice will be much more intentional and productive, and you'll get much more value from each moment of practice using that method. I know that you'll love it, so pick it up and see what you think. Thanks so much for watching, and best of luck in all your playing and memorizing. See you soon. Bye-bye.